Hanging out with us, joining us on KTIK Sports Radio, The Ticket. We've turned our beautiful cameras on in the Row Paint studio, so this is airing on our YouTube channel, on our Twitter feed, all that good stuff. 208-424-9300 is the number I want you to text and tell me, who catches more balls next year in the NFL? Khalil Shakir or John Bates? I want to get your take on that. Maybe we'll ask Prater as well, but kind of want to start this hour talking about three ex-Boise State players, all whom have been drafted. Two of them are going into their third season, respectively. That's John Bates in Washington and Avery Williams in Atlanta, the former All-American kick returner here in Boise. And, of course, Khalil Shakir reported in Buffalo yesterday. Prater, these are voluntary workouts. How voluntary they are, that's fine. But it's kind of the season's starting. This is kind of the first time they've all had to be back since last season ended. So we figured we'd catch up with these three and talk about them a little bit. But the first one we're going with, Avery Williams, had a story yesterday. And if you followed it on Twitter, if you saw it, this warmed the hearts of a lot of Bronco Nation members, made them proud, and said, you betcha, that's our Avery.
It's the only reason. A stupid random Twitter picture from a fan is the only reason we're doing this entire segment.
Yeah, it is. Fill them in, man. You go for it.
You guys brought it up. I didn't even know that these guys were coming to work. I'm still the guy who thought that they would wait until after the draft to do some OTAs. I didn't realize that NFL teams had guys reporting for work this week and next week. So that caught me off guard. And then you showed, you explained the picture. I went and saw it. It's very, very cool. A woman by the name of Cammie, looks like she was a fan. 7 a.m. out there on the streets, right there next to the Atlanta Falcons headquarters, and looking for new. She obviously knew that it was a report for duty day, and she wanted to see the players walk in. And she took a picture of Avery Williams strolling down the sidewalk in his tracksuit and Nike slides or whatever the hell he was wearing.
Yeah.
And looking all ready to go to work, and said, Avery Williams, the first guy to show up for work.
Isn't that cool? And on a couple of levels. One, it's great for you, Bronco Nation. This is the Avery Williams that you know. This is the Avery Williams that came into your program and just refused to not be a useful player and worked his tail off and is, arguably the best kick returner in college football history. He won the Jet Award. He's the last All-American to play at Boise State. I think he was a consensus All-American as a kick returner and special teams guy. So you love it for that, okay, what got Avery into the league is still getting Avery paychecks, is still pleasing the coaches with the Falcons. They must love him in that building. So yes, Avery Williams was the first Falcon to walk in the building yesterday on a Monday when they were supposed to report to work for the first time.
By the way, is he wearing a hoodie with the hood over his head, and then on top of his hoodie, a baseball hat backwards?
I have to go back and look at the pic.
Is that the new style now? The hoodie and the I got it right here.
So you wear a hoodie and you put your hat over the hoodie.
Yeah.
Dude, he is, man.
Is that a new style? And is that a cool style?
I'm not. I mean, I am not one to ever give fashion advice. I'm wearing a visor and a Seattle Kraken t-shirt right now.
By the way, I totally endorsed the visor look. Thank you very much.
And someone needs to start wearing a visor again around KTIK. And it's not going to be Prater. So
Avery Williams wearing a hoodie with the hood up and then a baseball hat on backwards on top of the hoodie. It's kind of a cool. I mean, I could never pull it off.
Do people do that?
He's doing it. He pulled it off. He looks great.
Do you guys do that in Boise? Text us. Let me know the story behind that. But that's a cool part of it. But the other thing is, what's this lady's name on Twitter again? Carrie is a big enough Atlanta Falcons fan that she obviously read that, okay, we were having voluntary workouts today. So she parks outside the headquarters and stands there with her phone and takes pictures as the guys walk into the facility. I don't know whether to hug her, kiss her, call her a nerd, tell her to get a life. I'm not sure, man.
Ballgame, she's kind of cute, if that's her.
She's hot.
I'm married. I can't say that.
Okay. I like.
Even though you have a girlfriend,
she's a good-looking woman.
Yes. If that's Carrie, I would think that you would have other things to do in your life.
Yes, right.
Than stalk dirty birds at 7:00 on a Monday morning in Atlanta. But So far, she, I mean, and good for you.
But good for her. Like, she was doing that. She tweeted that out. Avery Williams shows up the building first, and he was probably one of the last to leave too, because that's just who Avery Williams is. That's how he's gotten this far, and it's nice to know that that's still his MO, so to speak.
Avery Williams has played in 32 career games. He didn't start as a running back. He's now a running back. He's touched the ball 35 times. He's touched the ball 35 times in 32 games. Averages about one touch a game.
Is that counting kick and punt returns, Prater?
No, that's just rushing and receiving.
Scrimmage.
So, yeah, there's some yards, some scrimmage. There's plenty of return stuff in there as well. And I think they're going to continue to dabble with that. If he touches the ball one or two times a game and just is, does his job, Avery Williams will be in this league for 10 to 12 years. He takes care of himself. He takes care of his body. He takes care of his mind. He takes care of his playbook. He takes care of his responsibility. He's a businessman. He's all about business. He's no nonsense. We got to know him here, but we really didn't get to know him. I don't know anything about him other than he's just calm, cool football player who just wakes up in the morning and plays football.
Really intelligent guy, and we do know that because we've interviewed him. And some guys are just different when you interview them than others, and some guys you think, wow, okay, he's a really smart dude. And that's how we all felt about Avery Williams. I'm with you. He can play a while in this league. Prater, I'm not going to predict anything, but I hope Avery takes one to the house this year. He's been close. That's coming at some point in his career. I know kick returns are like dinosaurs in the NFL right now. They've done everything to legislate them out, basically, except just saying we're not doing kickoffs anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, the touchback percentage in that league is ridiculous. I don't know if you saw this, but in the XFL or USFL, they make you kick off way deeper. So you basically have to return the kick every time, which I thought was kind of cool. So I hope Avery at one point takes one back, but that's great news for Avery Williams. Let's move on, Prater. Let's go Khalil Shakir, right?
Let's go
Shakir. He was in Buffalo. I saw a picture someday. If anybody can find this, tweet it to me. But him showing up, giving the peace sign, day one of year 2 for Khalil Shakir in Buffalo. And Prater, Buffalo again this year. Very high expectations. The receiver depth chart will work its way out, but I think Khalil Shakir's got every chance to be in the top 3 or 4 Buffalo receivers this year.
I would absolutely agree with that, but I don't think he can get any higher than that. I mean, if he's the third target on a pretty deep room, a very deep room, and he did a fantastic job last year. He played 14 games. He had 2 starts. He caught 10 of 20 targets. That's the one issue that I had. You got to have a better reception rate than that. If they throw the ball at you 20 times, you can't go 50%.
That's not good, man.
And a lot of those are just stereotyping. We're not saying those are all his fault, but that's not a good number. He needs to fix that. They throw the ball. I mean, we just talked about Dalton Kincaid, the guy that caught 16 passes on 16 targets, the tight end for Utah against USC.
Yeah.
Khalil Shakir, clean that up a little bit. I think he's going to slowly move up this depth chart. I think he's going to be more. I mean, he's going to catch more than 10 passes this year. There's no doubt in my mind if he stays healthy. And I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a slow climb. I think the expectations should be moderate for this dude. It's going to be a slow climb. But again, because he's smart, because he does all the right things, and he's just a fun kid who approaches life with a smile on his face. He just got married. He still likes to bowl. He's happier than he's ever been in his entire freaking life, and he just loves to go out and play a little football, and I think he's going to have himself one hell of a year, but it's still going to be that number 3, that number 4, and maybe he only plays in 10, 12 of the games. He's not going to be an everyday player for the Buffalo Bills, but he's getting there.
I think he can crack, maybe 3rd or 4th receiver at some point. We'll see. I'm going to see about Shaq. He also returns punts. Maybe that can help him stay on the active roster, because there were games last year, Prater, and you remember that he wasn't even activated.
That was a lot early. I'm not sure how much of that was late, but certainly early on, that was definitely an issue for him.
And our boy John Bates ran into Bates at the spring game. He was there with his wife, hanging out with a lot of ex-teammates there on the sidelines. And, I hadn't been around him in a while, and he's shaped different physically. John Bates is a big boy, man, and you see that in front of him. Big man, I should say. And like, holy smokes, Bates, he's bigger than he was when he was at Boise State, and he really filled out the uniform. He caught 14 balls last year, Prater, had 1 touchdown, 34 catches in his 2-year career now in Washington. They got new ownership. We'll see what they do at quarterback. But yeah, Bates, what are you thinking here? Yeah.
His production went down last year, and that's a little bit concerning going into your second season. His snap count was down a little bit, in terms of the number of plays he took. That's roster management stuff. I don't think that has anything to do with John Bates. Logan Thomas was the tight end that's been in and out, injuries here, injuries there. He's always been kind of tight end number one in Washington. Eventually, John Bates, I think, will become tight end one in Washington. It could happen as soon as this year. John Bates caught 20 passes his rookie year, 14 last year. You asked me originally, who's going to catch more balls this year?
Yeah.
I think John Bates is going to get back up in the 20-plus range. Shakir is probably just going to kind of hang on in that 10 to 15, maybe 20 range as well. I think John Bates is going to be a pretty productive player.
You know what worries me about Bates in Washington? Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett, Jake Fromm. I mean, those are the three quarterbacks on that roster. Not sure what they're doing. I mean, they got rid of Carson Wentz, and they're going to move forward in the Sam Howell era. We'll see.
Getting rid of Wentz, isn't that a good thing, though?
That could. I mean, do you like Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett, though?
No.
I don't know. I almost like Wentz better than, but again, if Wentz is my starting quarterback, I'm a worried fan as well. But anyway, John Bates, they report this week, I think, for voluntary workouts in Washington. So good for those guys. We'll keep an eye on them. Fun to keep track of those ex-Boise State players. We have the captain of the Idaho Steelheads, A.J. White. He's waiting. He's coming on when we come back. Steelies playoff game 1 tomorrow night right here on KTIK Sports Radio, The Ticket.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studios, this is Ticket Traffic.